G'day guys, it's Scott Maz from Allure Fishing Oz. What I'm going to do is bring a couple of different types of videos to YouTube. The first ones are my little quick tips. They're the things that will probably only take about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes to explain, and probably even quicker for you to do, but they'll have a big impact on your fishing. The other ones are a little bit more in-depth, you know, they're the exposés on the different areas that we've got to fish from, the different techniques, lure colours, depths, that sort of stuff, how to set your lures up so that they'll suspend at different depths, those sorts of things. So the first thing I wanted to address is probably one of the first things you really need to do when you're going to go fishing, and that is to consider how to dress for success. One of the things I learnt was reinforced very early in the piece when I used to sneak up to back up to Lake Lyell and fish the Cox's River out behind Sydney for trout was it's really critical to ensure that you're wearing the right clothing. And I'm not talking here about dressing just for the weather and making sure that you're not going to get too wet, too hot, too cold, too sunburned, that sort of stuff. I'm talking about clothing that is going to help you catch more fish because you're going to be able to blend into the background and you're less likely to spook fish. So first thing to remember is this. The clothing obviously has to be comfortable, loose fitting. You have to be able to move around. You have to be able to wear it all day without it being restrictive. The next one though is that it needs to stop you from standing out. So using that stream just as an example, you think about it, the water's gin clear, the fish are just swimming in the current, you're stomping through the water or trying to sneak through the water as much as possible, and the fish are able to see above the surface of the water because the water is relatively shallow in a lot of those creeks and streams. So they're susceptible for changes in their environment. Obviously, they have to try and protect themselves from predators. So they're going to be pretty spooky. Now, if you stomp up the middle of that creek and you're wearing a bright colour, you're going to stand out like nothing else. If you've got something with strips of reflective material, you're going to stand out even more. And yet, people still do it. Wonder why they don't catch fish. Now, if I'm fishing a stream, the first thing I'm going to be thinking about is, am I fishing along the edge of the stream? So am I going to have the trees as the background? Am I standing on the bank? Or am I going to be working my way up the middle of a river and possibly am I going to have the sky as my background? I take the same approach to my flats fishing. Obviously what I'm talking about here is not going to be the same if I'm fishing 30, 40 feet deep. Or if I'm fishing floodwater where the water is incredibly murky and the visibility is very low. But if the water's reasonably clear and there's a reasonable chance that I can see the fish, I'm very, very careful about what I'm going to dress in. So I wake up next morning, first thing I do is look at the sky. Second thing I do is look at Willy Weather or one of those other apps and check what the weather's doing. If I think it's going to be a clear day, maybe tiny little bit of white cloud, that sort of stuff, I'm going to grab out one of my blue shirts. Stands to reason it's going to blend in with the background. That's if I'm fishing the flats. If I'm going to be standing on the flats, and I think about whether I'm standing out on the edge of a peninsula flat where I'm going to have a blue sky in the background, or am I going to be working my way along the edge of the flat where I'm going to have maybe some mangroves and some trees in the background. Mangroves and trees in the background, I'm going to go with my same sort of colours that I'm going to wear when I'm going out trout fishing. I'm going to go with those camo sort of clothes. Now, if it's a grey day, one of those where I've got a bit of cloud cover, then I'm probably going to grab out one of my grey coloured shirts, or maybe even a fawn or a beige. If it's a day where it's neither too bright nor too dull, or I'm working along the back edge of a cliff or something where I want my silhouette to be broken up, then I might go for one of these shirts. It's got a few colours in it, but they're muted colours, and they're the sort of colours that if it's in the background of a sandstone hill, the fish isn't really going to notice it so much. Fishing at night, obviously, I'm going to grab out the dark clothes. No dramas in the world. Fishing first thing in the morning when I'm standing back against the trees and I'm in the shadows, sneaking out from the shadows, that sort of thing is absolutely perfect. This sort of stuff is only really good if I'm going to be fishing inside the background in deep shallows, or once again fishing at night. So I try not to make myself too visible to the fish. Remember, if I can see the fish, they can see me. If I see the fish, there's every chance I'm going to spook them and they're going to take off. Here, lots of times, people say, oh, I had to make lots of casts and they had to be really, really long casts. So they're really long casts for a reason. It's because the fish were probably spooky and they knew you were there, or they sensed something was not right. Now, sometimes it can relate to the boat you're sneaking up in, sometimes it can relate to the amount of noise, sometimes they're just, a little bit further away. But often, it's because you've told them you're coming, simply by your silhouette and the background that you've created. So think about what you're wearing. It takes 2 minutes just to pick out the right clothes before you head out in the morning, and you'll probably find you'll catch more fish. So I hope that helps, guys. Just something to think about, keep in the back of your mind. Only takes you a second to do, and hopefully it'll improve your rates. So good luck, have fun, hope you get some more.